Alrighty, welcome to installment 5, which is the first weeks in the Navy. Installment 5 of the Blue Jackets Manual Centennial Edition. It's a few years old, but still current. So the first weeks in the Navy, P-Days. The day of arrival at RTC is called Receipt Day. When your initial processing begins, the next 3 to 5 days will be your processing days, or P-Days. The procedures may vary from time to time, but in general, go like this. Report in, turn in orders, and draw your bedding and bunk assignment for your first night aboard. You will also fill out a bedding custody card, a stencil form, a receipt book, or a chit book to be used instead of money for your purchases at the Navy Exchange, a safe arrival card for your parents, and other forms. So, they don't want you carrying around large sums of money. They want you using these chit books, which they do deduct out of your pay, and it'll say, worth $5 or whatever. And the whole idea is it doesn't do much good to steal them, and because you have to buy certain things with them, and it cuts down on gambling. Gambling used to be a problem in the military. I'm not aware if it is anymore. Won't do any good to steal a haircut chit, because what are you going to do? Go get a second haircut? Speaking of haircuts, every recruit will get a haircut, and chances are it will be different from what you are used to. While male recruits won't get their heads shaved, the barber won't leave enough hair to comb either. Female recruits have two options. They must wear their hair up or get special haircuts to conform to Navy standards. Later, at your first duty station, you will have more choices in hairstyle, but you still have to conform to Navy regulations. It's really simple. Navy regulations is off the ear, off the collar. No, your bangs can't go past your eyebrows, things like that. Your mustache cannot go below your lip, can't go beyond the edge of your mouth. You're not allowed to have goatees, things like that. Medical examination. As a sailor, you'll have to be in excellent health and good physical condition to perform your duties properly. Navy medical personnel will examine you from head to toe, run blood tests, and urinalysis, which is a drug test. They will do it. They will take x-rays and give you a series of inoculations, the works. If you need dental work, it will be scheduled. I have to say, drugs are very prevalent in today's society, especially marijuana. It's legal in very many places, still federally illegal. If you're doing pot, marijuana, they're not going to accept you. They're going to kick you out. It's not legal. Okay, you work for a federal government agency, they're not going to accept it. And I knew quite a few people who got kicked out for drugs, and it was a shame. One of them was my greatest friend, and I was heartbroken when he got kicked out because he was such a great person. And I've always steered away from drugs, always. And when he got kicked out, I had no clue that he was doing drugs, and it just broke my heart because he was a family man. They don't care. They catch you doing drugs. Back in my day, they'd catch you once and they give you a really severe warning and put it in your record. And the second time you were out within like 2 weeks, and like literally they don't care if you're even out on the street. They're done with you. And so if you're doing drugs, don't go to boot camp. You can tell your recruiter that you're going to pop positive on your analysis. I don't know what to tell you. If you can't let go of the weed, then don't go into the military. Our country can't afford to have people who are in a different state of mind, whether it's good or bad for you. I'm not judging you, but whether it's good or bad for you, you need to have the sharpest mind possible. And sometimes in life, having the sharpest mind possible is a painful ordeal. It hurts to suffer through sadness and heartbreak and meanness and neglect and all the things that kids go through, that they go into the military to escape. And a lot of people turn to things like marijuana being the least, I think. Smoking cigarettes. They don't want you smoking cigarettes in the military either. But a lot of people turn to that. I saw a lot of people in the military turn into drinking. So just stay away from all of that. I know it's hard, but you'll be a stronger person for it. Clothing issue. At first, you'll receive initial clothing issue that includes enough uniform clothing to make you look like a sailor and to allow you to perform your duties while in boot camp. Eventually, you will receive a complete outfit called a sea bag worth hundreds of dollars. Actually, it's probably worth thousands of dollars, and they do take that money back from you. So they give you a complete sea bag full of clothes to cover every uniform need you need, from literally your underwear, socks, shirts, pants, belts, hats, everything. and then they deduct like $100 a month from your uniform, from your pay for the first year that you're in, which sucks. It really sucked for me when I went in, and it probably still does because prices go up. Like my monthly pay was like $480 or something like that, and they were taking $100 a month, which is pretty big when you only get paid that that much. Excuse me. Oh, ate a lot of Mexican food tonight. Chitbook. You will not need money while in boot camp. You will be issued a chitbook of coupons to be used in the Navy exchange for toilet articles, sewing kits, shoe shine gear, notebooks, stationery, postage stamps, pens, pencils. The total cost will be deducted from your pay. Again, they'll give you a chitbook like worth $40, $50, $100, whatever, and that's for a haircut, and that's for this, and nothing is free. Okay, just like if you started a job, they're going to want you to dress nice. What do? You go and you buy some clothes. You go into debt. You borrow some money from somebody to get started in your first job usually, or to go to your first job interview. That's okay. That's what the military does too. They they loan you everything up front to start your job, and then you pay it back. And that's cool. That teaches responsibility. Okay, just because you're going in the military doesn't mean anything is free. In fact, way back in the Win days, during the Revolutionary War, England, if you were in the English Army and you got wounded, they actually deducted money from your pay because you weren't as an efficient warrior. And they felt, well, if you lost your leg, then we're paying for somebody who's not able to run across the field, especially back in those days. They didn't have prosthetics, and they dock your pay 25% for losing your leg. You know, nowadays a lot of people look at the military as like a free ride, and it's really not. They don't deduct money from your pay for being wounded, but it's not going to be a free ride. ID card. You'll be issued an Armed Forces of the United States identification ID card, which identifies you as a member of the Armed Forces. While it's unique to you and in your possession, it remains government property and must be returned when you are discharged. Altering it, damaging it, counterfeiting it, or using it in an unauthorized manner, such as lending your card to someone or borrowing another person's card, can result in serious disciplinary action. I witnessed this while I was in A school. Somebody wasn't old enough to drink. They borrow somebody else's card who was old enough to drink, go to the local liquor store, bring the booze back to the barracks, get caught with the booze at the barracks. The first thing the barracks chief asks is, where the heck did you get the booze? They said, oh, I just went there and got it. And the guy's like, no, doesn't work that way. That liquor store off base knows not to give it to little youngins like you. And then they find out, well, I borrowed my roommate's ID card. Now you're both in trouble. And it's a serious fetch. You'll go to Captain's Mast for that. And if they don't kick you out of the military, they will definitely make your life miserable for a few weeks. And it will go on your permanent record. So that ID card is always carried in the left-hand pocket so that the chief can come up, pull it out of your pocket at any time. No civilian authority is authorized to take that from you because it belongs to the government. However, I did have a sheriff once. I was out goofing around with my friend. I was riding on the back of his dirt bike. Car pulls in front of us. We almost hit the car, and he stops. He gets out. He's an off-duty cop. He's tired of listening to us go up and down the street. He still, takes both of our ID cards. We told him, look, you're not allowed to take our ID cards. And he's like, look, I don't care. I'm going to drive to the sheriff's department. You guys can meet me there in 20 minutes to receive your tickets, and then you get your ID cards back. That's my way of ensuring you're going to show up and get your tickets, because most people might not care about the driver's license. They just go get another one. And so we did, and my buddy got a ticket, and I got yelled at, and we both got our ID cards and went back. And the guy also called our chief on Monday morning, and we got in trouble from the chief. So it happens. Don't get in trouble. Your card shows your name, social security number, and the date your enlistment expires. Carry it on you at all times. Besides granting you access to ships, Navy exchanges, and other government installations, it will identify you as one protected by provisions of the Geneva Convention should you become a prisoner of war. If you lose your card, you will have to sign a statement detailing the circumstances of your loss. Losing an ID card is a nightmare. Don't lose it. Plain and simple. Boot camp routine. Soon after reporting in, you'll be placed in a division and will meet the people you'll be with for the next several weeks. Then, during formal commissioning ceremony, an officer will welcome you, give you a brief talk on the history and mission of the Navy, assign you your unit, division number and name after a Navy ship, present a division flag called a guidon, bearing that number, and introduce your recruit division commanders. Those are your RDCs or your drill instructors, DIs, as they call them in other services. They talk about the guidon flag. Everybody has to pitch in money, and there's a little shop right off RTC that sews those up for you. So you have your company number and what you represent, and you carry that. It's a flag. Recruit division commander. Each division, usually about 84 recruits, is taken through training by its RDCs, or recruit division commanders. These are outstanding petty officers who are intimately familiar with instructional techniques, principles of leadership, and administrative procedures. The RDCs will instruct you in military and physical drills and show you how to keep yourself, your clothing, equipment, and barracks in smart ship-shape condition. While at boot camp, your RDCs, that's again recruit division commanders, are the most important people in the Navy. Keep in mind that RDCs once went through recruit training just like you. By now, they have many years of naval experience. Follow your RDC's example, and you'll make a good start towards a successful Navy career. My RDC was an awesome guy. RDCs were awesome guys, and couldn't say enough about them. Okay, we'll do one more thing. We'll do chain of command. The Navy is organized like a pyramid, with the President of the United States at the top as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. There are many levels below the President, leading eventually to you. This is known as the chain of command. Just as you must follow the orders and guidance of your RDCs, they must likewise follow the orders and guidance of the ship's leading Chief Petty Officer, and he or she must follow those of the Assistant Squadron Commander, and so on. Your chain of command will change somewhat each time you report to a new duty station, but while you are at RTC, your chain of command is as follows. At the top, you have the President, then the SecDef, the Secretary of Defense, the SecNav, the Secretary of the Navy, the CNO, which is Chief of Naval Operations, the Chief of Naval Education and Training, the Commander of the NTC, the Commanding Officer of the RTC, the Executive Officer of the RTC, Director of Training, Department Head, or your Squadron Commander, Assistant Squadron Commander, Ship's Officer, Ship's Leading Chief Petty Officer, Recruit Division Commanders, and then you. Yes, that's a long line, and you do have permission to go and talk to all of them, up to and including the President, but you don't get to do it on your time. You do it on their time. So if you decide to write a letter to the President, you must first submit it to your RDC, and then the leading Chief Petty Officer, all the way up that chain of command. That letter has to go. Because President doesn't have time to handle your whiny sniveling that the soda machine is out of root beer. Okay? And if you were to send a letter to the President about root beer and a soda machine, I'll pretty much guarantee your career is not going to be a successful one. Okay? Learn to handle problems. That's one thing about the Navy. You go out to sea, you got to handle problems. Nobody will help you out there. Because you are new to the Navy, you will start out at the bottom of the pyramid. By the time, training, experience, hard work, and the right attitude will change that. Keep in mind that everyone in the Navy began at the bottom, and your seniors were once recruits like you. This brings me to a very important part, which is your attitude. Your attitude makes everything. And you're going to find, even in boot camp, they tell you things are going to move up. Okay, in boot camp, they're not going to bump you from E1, which is where you start, to E2. Okay, you're just not going to do it. There you are as an E1, like everybody else. They need to see if you can make it through 2 months of training before they do anything for you. And then in your school, some people make E2, but not many. I think I saw one out of the hundreds of guys I was with, guys and gals I was with. So your attitude makes everything, and here's what it means. Everybody in your company is an E1. And you're all going to have to do things like scrub toilets, scrub floors, do laundry, whatever, sweep the floors. Those who complain about it, they'll keep getting stuck with it. You'll keep doing it until you learn to do it well. If you do it well with positive attitude, your company commander is going to see that, or RDC is going to see that, and they're going to bump you up, and they're going to make you a little, petty officer of the watch, or petty officer of the forward hold, or petty officer of sweeping, or whatever, and they're going to make you in charge of 3 other complainants who don't want to get the job done. They're going to see you do the job, you're going to do it well, they're going to say, okay, Smith, you watch these 3 guys and make sure they do the job right, which means you can or cannot sweep with them. It's up to you. I preferred to lead by example, so which means I grabbed a broom as well. And these guys are always, they're going to complain and moan. Oh, where you get to be in charge? Oh, look at you, big man, blah, blah, blah. They're jealous. And you know what? That's because you'll say, because your attitude stinks. And the company commander wants me to make sure this job gets done properly, and it's my butt on the line if I don't, so you might as well shut up and get to work. It's one of the things in the military. So that is it for number 5. And as always, keep them happy.